scroll through the questions. So let me just, someone just, oh, there you go, frequently asked questions. So Stephanie, are you doing these FAQs?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone has any that they particularly want us to answer, then please put them in the chat box. I believe there was a question from Asha about the types of resources. I think I covered that within the presentation. So the answer is that yeah, there will be kind of videos and links to maybe YouTube videos that we find relevant within the course, but everything else will be self-contained, so you don't need to kind of go out and buy other textbooks or kind of access you know scientific literature, for example. We'll have the bits that you need will be within the course for you. Okay, so any questions, or should we run through some of these FAQs?
I would run through the FAQs themselves. So I'd just give it a brief minute answer to each one if we can, and then people can get on with Sunday evening.
Sure. So yes, so we have our FAQs. Let me just bring that back up again. So if you've already studied trichology and you're thinking about where do I fit in with this, we have two ways of getting you onto our programs. The first one would be a kind of a recognition of prior learning. So if you want to study at level 4, or indeed when we run the level 5, if you want to start at whatever level and you think I've got part of this, I know most of, some of these units already, I've studied this already, we can apply for recognition of prior learning towards those particular units, and it means that you only need to complete the bits that you need to complete or want to complete. There's also a way of doing a kind of fast track assessment. So say as we've mentioned, there's many of the trichology qualifications in the UK aren't accredited, and the difficulty there is that it makes it quite hard for us to quantify what academic level they are pitched at. So we don't know where people are working from. So in that scenario, the fast track assessment allows you to complete kind of the assessments without completing the course. So you wouldn't actually get the level 4 course, you wouldn't be qualified at level 4, but it would allow us to gauge your knowledge, and that would allow you access onto the level 5. So it's worth getting in touch with us if you're thinking, oh, I'm not sure which level I'm suitable for, if you're already a trichologist, and we can kind of have a look at your prior experience and learning, and give you some advice on that. And if there is anything that maybe you need to brush up on or anything like that, then we can advise you on that, so that you're in the best possible scenario to start at the correct level, perhaps only completing a single unit within the level 4. So the number 2, who accredits our programs of study, this is Eduqual. So they are an external awarding body governed by the Scottish Qualifications framework. So I'm just going to run through these, is there any questions that have come up?
Not yet, but it's probably important to just, while we're talking about Eduqual, they are internationally approved as well. So we are looking at international.
Yep, lovely. Well. So the different levels of education. So levels is a reference to the kind of the difficulty. So at level 4 you would be expected to have a kind of a good understanding, but you still might have almost a little bit of kind of hand holding kind of thing in your practice, whereas at level 6 you'd be able to understand and synthesize kind of really quite complex different kind of knowledge and ideas, and work very independently. So it's very much more advanced and a more depth of knowledge at level 6. So level 4 in the UK is the equivalent to the first year of a degree, whereas level 6 is the final year of a degree, an undergraduate degree in the UK. So we've got question 7. So someone's wanting answers to question 7. So if you haven't got the results of a certificate from your previous course or studies, then yes, you can still apply. As I said, we will evaluate your all your experience and learning separately. It may be that, as I said, you may need to undertake some more assessments for us to kind of prove your knowledge, perhaps, but all that will be filled in on the application form. And if you're filling in any other kind of fast track assessment forms for us, then we'll take all that into account. Someone's asked if there's a syllabus available. So the syllabus, yeah, so we'll have everything on the website. So all the kind of what's, as I went through the kind of the different content for the course, that will all be available on the website for you. So does anyone else want to jump in with some of these FAQs, or should I just keep going through them?
Steph, I can answer 9 if you like.
Yeah, sure.
So yes, obviously number 9, I work in hairdressing and barbering. How would this course help me? So obviously it may be that you're interested in embarking on a career in trichology. Obviously many people haven't even heard of trichology, even in the world of hairdressing. So obviously it will give you an understanding of what it is trichologists deal with. But particularly if you work in those sectors, it's going to give you some idea of things, well, obviously that you may already be seeing in your clients, but also some idea of the types of people that actually do need referring on for additional help. Obviously, if your intention is not to qualify as a trichologist, then it would be a good idea to familiarise yourself with, if there are any trichologists in your area, and build up a relationship with them if you haven't done so already. As I say, just signposting really where you can send those people to. And, you know, there are, for example, certain hair loss conditions where hair follicles are permanently destroyed, and actually seeking help sooner rather than later is extremely important to avoid further permanent hair loss. So, you know, being able to spot those situations is going to be of huge value to your clients. So there's a huge array of ways in which doing a course like this can obviously benefit your existing profession. It doesn't have to mean that you're going to change profession. It can just really support what you're already doing. Number 10, I don't know, maybe Jill or Ian may be able to answer this one.
We're looking into it. As soon as we've got a few hoops to jump through, but we are going to attempt to be able to offer this. At the moment we can't, but we're pushing towards it. The I have additional learning needs, what support and helps and CTSP provide. Again, that's probably wanted for the faculty to talk to, yeah, rather than myself.
So with this one, there's no requirement if you do that you have to disclose if you have any additional learning needs. But obviously, if you do, it does allow us to tailor the course a little bit more, the content to you, and allow us to apply certain things like additional time for assessments, or, you know, additional support that would be relevant to you. So it's a good idea to disclose it, but as I said, there's no requirement to tell us unless you, if you don't want to.
I'm just going to jump in with Nima's question. How would a level 4 be equal to the 2 years of IoT, which is the Institute of Trichology for people out there? Is it going to be lower, equal, higher? Well, unfortunately, the IoT does not have a course which is accredited against anything. So you can't really say that this is lower, higher, or equal. And this level here is a good grounding in hair science, because what we don't want to do, and what we made sure that we didn't do, is give somebody a level 4 course which is very shallow and very wide, that you cram loads and loads of stuff into, and then that person can go on and call themselves a trichologist, which is what's happening now, and this is why we have to raise standards. So instead, we've sort of broke it down, and as you go up the levels, the information that you get becomes deeper, not wider. So instead of cramming everything into a course at the same level, you're going to be divided up, and it will be, you know, tiered. So as you go up the course, the information, it gets more in depth, and the information gets more in depth. So it's completely different to what you've experienced and what I've experienced from the Trichology courses out there at the moment. There isn't a comparison. So unfortunately, that's the only answer that we have for you. But I hope it helps.
Yeah, I mean, it's really worthwhile kind of saying that, as Ian says, there's no kind of the level 6 in Trichology. It doesn't exist at the moment, at the current time. The only way to kind of get to that level is to study a different subject, a different degree. So there's a few of us, a few colleagues of mine, including myself, that we're currently doing kind of biomedical science degrees, because that's the only way to get that extra of knowledge, which, you know, is very fascinating, and it's really interesting, but having that course, that level, that depth of knowledge tailored to Trichology, rather than having to translate it, you know, yourself from what you've learnt in a separate degree back into Trichology, this is really more focused. So it's you know, this is where we're coming from with this, to increase the depth and breadth of knowledge, to improve kind of professionalism and public safety. Right.
Can I add,
So yes,
it's just, you know, I'm not on the faculty, but I think it's also really important to, you know, Ian was talking about that there not being any accredited courses. This is an accredited course. The whole pathway will be an accredited course. These skills are transferable. Whatever you study now in Trichology, you're not gaining transferable skills that you could use elsewhere, that you can take forward because you have that accreditation. So I do think it's really important that the people listening understand that. That, you know, it's a very, very worthwhile, you know, it's not just about the knowledge around Trichology, it's about, you know, knowledge within education as a whole. And as you say, you're doing, in order to increase your depth of knowledge, you're doing a degree course. And what we're aiming for is, you know, these same levels of accreditation that exist in other areas.
lovely. Thanks, Carol. So I can see Ash has asked a question, so about arranging the level 5 clinical practice kind of lumped together, so students living abroad can continue after level 4. So yes, that would be our approach. So we're looking at really good university facilities to support the practical aspects of the course at the level 5 and 6, and we would have that approach of kind of residential kind of blocks of training, where we have workshops, clinics, and assessment days all together.
There's also the potential that we are in talks, or going to enter into talks, once these courses are written, with international colleagues who may be able to do this course, but in their own countries. So because it's an educational course, which means that it's internationally accredited. So it may be that international studies actually are nearer to you than they are to us.
So I'm going to answer a couple of other questions on here. So number 12, yes, you can take a break from your studies if you need to. You just need to, we have forms and procedures for this. So you just need to let us know, and we can approve it and delay your learning until a date that's suitable.
Sorry, can I just interrupt? It's probably important. It's probably
14,
important to understand. Hello,
yep.
Can you hear me? Sorry, it's probably important to say that there is a level 4 course available out there. Trichocare does do a level 4 course, but again, they've sort of made their course very, very broad and stuffed everything into it, and they haven't sort of tiered it, and they haven't put any very much depth into it. As far as I'm aware.
So yeah, I was going to say about number 14, the level 4 certificate, will it let me practice as a trichologist? So that is not our intention at level 4. The level 4 is foundation knowledge. It's not about clinical practice. We don't believe that at level 4 that's a high enough standard to let you loose on the public. So for to really raise the standards, and that takes me into like Ash's question on the chat. So as an applicant with a master's in molecular biology, is there an assessment test that I can take to determine the level which would be the best entry? This us at the CTSP, and we can discuss with you. It may be that there are parts of the course that you've already, you don't need to redo, but obviously the kind of the clinical practice side of it might be new to you, so we would need to make sure that that side is obviously covered, whereas there might be areas that you are fully versed in already. And I think I'll answer number 16. Once I complete the level 4 certificates, will I be automatically eligible for the level 5 diploma? They are separate courses, they are separate qualifications, so you would need to reapply. It's not an automatic progression, so you do have to reapply and fill in another application form to secure your place, or if you do wish to go on to the level 5. And I think that's a lot of the questions. If anyone's got anything else that they want to have answered now before we finish up for the evening, do put it in the chat.
Do you want to just unshare your screen and if
Sure.
anybody is